Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well rested, and had a great relaxing weekend. So, Monday, the 11th of March. Let's see what sort of week we have in store. So, Jay, how you doing, my friend? Contracts. M contracts. What are you on about there, Jay? M contracts? That's not sure. Exponential, how you doing, bud? Okay, so what are we doing here at the moment? So the NQ looks like we're going a bit of sideways with a failed breakout. The ES looks like we've had a bit of a channel there, maybe an overshoot there, a break, a new low. So are we pushing up or are we coming back down? I don't know. Let me have a look. It's a rollover week. Have you rolled over, have you, or not? Let me have a look. Oh, I have rolled over automatically. Let's have a look. We're on June. You've rolled. Yeah, I have. It's automatically done it. We're on 624. There we go. Let's have a wee look. I was hoping for a higher lowy. We've pushed in and bounced off here a couple of times, but we haven't got a higher low. So let's have a look. Yeah, I did something earlier. It's automatically done it for me. Yeah, it has. Let's have a wee looky. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, I should have switched my heating on. I'm bloody freezing. Okay, so Kirk Townsend. Okay, we're on June. Yeah, I'm on June. Yeah, we're on June. Rodian, how you doing, bud? Chris, you've rolled over 2. Excellent. Speedy, how you doing, pal? ATR is fairly large today, 3.52. Yeah, it is a bit. Bars are starting to get a bit smaller, so I'm hoping pretty soon that'll start to calm down. Now, I'm looking on the ES here. Now, look at this. We've had a leg down with a couple of legs. We could get some down stuff today, so I'm thinking, I was just going to say that looks to me like a channel down, 1-2 attempts to go higher, and we're pulling down. So this to me looks like we're coming down. So we've had a break, new high. If we can get a lower high here, I may be interested in this. We'll see. Unless it's just coming down to retest this, it is possible. It's hard to say. Let's have a look. Average, yeah, ATR just really is a rough indication. It just tells you how much volatility within these bars. Sort of the more volatility, the higher. But it's the average size of these bars really. So we tend to like it around about the 2 or just under the 2. And it's high at the moment, so your bars are going to be slightly larger, which means a little bit more risk. So if you notice, though, the bars are a lot larger here. They seem to be slowing down. So now the market's open. I'd expect that to get under 2 relatively quickly. Fingers crossed anyway. Let's have a look. So a leg and a leg. I had a feeling that we may get some bearish stuff today. Look, we've had a big leg, and this looks like another leg. So let's just have a little look. We've got this leg down now, but we're quite far from the EMA, so I'm not taking that. It is technically a failure, but it's congested. Now, quick glance on the NQ. There is a chance we could come back up to the EMA or retest the bottom of this range here. So I'm staying out of a short here because you could get stung. I wouldn't be surprised if it triggers and then pushes up and stops it out. So let's have a quick look at that. It's clearly a bit congested here, so we'll see. I did double with that earlier. That actually works, doesn't it? So there is a possibility we got something larger here. So let's have a look. So we got a leg down. Well, that's tempting. So see if we can get a lower high from there.
Order submitted.
I don't want to take the bar, it's too big. Problem is we're still quite far from the EMA or from here, so just got to be a bit careful here. It's kind of a nice looking bearish bar there, but I'm just sitting tight at the moment because we've got a double bottom here on the NQ, so we could get back to the EMA or back up to the trend line, and that will take out that possible short there. It hasn't yet, so we'll see. No, it has. Oh, not quite. Let's see if it holds. I like the way it's holding here, so that's a good sign. Will it continue? So it's holding so far, but we want a lower high really before I even consider taking a short, and I want this to be going in the right direction. But it is a little bit sideways here, so I'm just going to get
Order cancelled.
Okay, so let's just put that to the top there, and let's just lever that up a fraction. That looks a little better. Let's just restart that. There is a higher low there. I'm just sitting tight at the moment. Okay, ATR's dramatically dropped there, so that's much better. You can clearly see bar's a lot bigger, a lot more volatility here, and they're slowing down here now, so less risk. So leg down, one attempt higher, second attempt higher. I'm not a fan of that, in all fairness. So looking on the NQ, we got some sideways, we got a break out of this, we pull back in, we got another break, we pull back in, but we do seem to be holding so far. Be interesting to see if this turns into a bullish bar and it triggers and comes down. Okay, let's see if we hold again, because we have held multiple times here. See if there's any sell orders up there. So we've got a channel break, new high. What are we doing here now? There is a lower high there, but it's still a little bit congested. I'm not sure what this is doing. We've had a channel with a break and a new high. It could continue higher, or it could come down. It's a could, though. I'm not sure, so I'm not taking that lower high just yet. At first glance, it doesn't look that bad, but it could go either way here, so I'm just sitting tight. It has triggered, but it's just not for me at the moment. I've got this little bit of support line here, and it's holding above this at the moment. So let's just have a little look. Yeah, it's too congested here at the moment. There's quite a big bearish bar, which has triggered above all this and dropped quite bearish here on the NQ, but then we're crossing over and it's starting to push up, so it's more sideways than anything at the moment. Definitely congested. It could be a bit trappy there. See, when I first looked at this, we sort of hit new highs. I wonder whether we'd have a leg down and a correction, followed by another leg down. And if I look on the daily, there is a big bearish bar at the top, so there is a chance we could get down to this level again. It's hard to say, really. I mean, we're in an uptrend on the daily at the moment, but even a small pullback on the daily can mean a massive move on the on a smaller chart. So it's hard to say at the moment, but it's triggered above this and had a big bearish drop. So keep an eye on that. So we could. This could be a push up, one attempt to go lower, second attempt to go lower, followed by another leg up, and we may just range. It's hard to say. But we are struggling to get. I am messing around with a little with a bit of somebody mentioned the other day, order flow volume profile, just on a chart. I picked up an extra monitor over the weekend, so I've got a little bit of extra space. So I'm just messing around with this 2000 tick chart. Now, I don't, as a price action trader, I trade mainly on price action. I don't really use indicators as such. But from what I understand, this volume profile, it shows us where the majority of the volume is, which is around this area. Does that mean it's going to go up or down? Your guess is as good as mine, but it's hard to say. So I am just trying to think, is there something out there that could just help my decision-making process? Because what I'm trying to do, because of the lack of setups lately, is just find good setup areas and maybe try and maximize on profit. So instead of just taking 2 points, this is something I'm going to be doing very slowly over the next sort of maybe 6 to 12 months, maybe 2 years, but just trying to sort of figure out and try and maximize moves. Because if you're going to take a lower high here and we've got like a 10 or 15 point move, ideally if you can capture half of that instead of 2 points, it might make me, I don't have to be too concerned about, only getting a trade or so a day. But at the moment, there's a lot of volume around here, this area, but it is just going sideways. So the volume seems to be pretty spread amongst buyers and sellers. That's if I'm even reading this right, but I'm just trying to learn to read, to have an extra, maybe an indicator that can give me an idea of where volume is. So that's that. Anyway, it is the 2000 tick chart. So it's exactly the same. See, one of the beautiful things about trading Mac style or Pat style is the lack of is the clarity of the screen. Indy, how you doing, buddy? Obviously the more indicators on. See, I think as sort of amateur traders, they tend to think the more indicators you have on the screen, the more chance you got to make, the more money you're going to make. But sometimes too many of them, unless you're very competent at understanding what's going on, can just sometimes just cloud your picture a little bit. But if I'm looking to take a short up here, a quick glance at a volume area, if there's lots of selling going on around this area, may give me the confidence to hold on a little bit longer. If we've had this sort of break and I think the price is coming down here and I've got a solid enough short entry, it may, if there's lots of volume coming in, it may give me the confidence to hold on and just maximize a little bit more. I mean, they do say, get out of your losses as quick as possible, stay in your winners as long as possible. So sometimes if it's a shame really to get, out, with a second entry and get out for 2 points, which is there when there's a possible 18 points. I mean, even if you can capture half of that, let's say 10 points for argument's sake, that's the equivalent of 5 trades worth of profit for me. I'm happy with 5 points a week. That would give me 2 weeks worth of profit in one trade. So if I can get some sort of an indicator which would help me make a decision to stay in longer, or at least maybe put it to break even ASAP, at least then, if I can capture 10 points, I mean, worst comes to worst, I'm out for break even. It's a risk-free trade. But if I can get 5 lots of profit in one go, on the odd occasion, obviously the picture's got to be right. And if we're in a nice downtrend and we have a lovely break and we have a really good solid short entry bar, and I think there's a possibility to come down and break the lows and maybe 10 points, it'd be nice to have the confidence and the ability to be able to maximize profits. But it's a work in progress. But yeah, it's pretty sideways at the moment. I know what I think, but I can only trade on what I see, not necessarily what I think. It does help if you're thinking along the right lines. So let's have a look. So we got this channel down here. We got a break and a new low. We have made multiple attempts to push up, and so far to no avail. So I did notice you guys in the US jump forward an hour. We go forward an hour at the end of the month. I only thought there was a week apart, but I noticed Kev Cundiff's comment on Facebook was everyone enjoying an extra hour of light? So I did check. Otherwise, you'd have been sat here by yourself for about another 45 minutes. But it does. It's a nice indicator now that the warmer weather's on the way. Obviously, depends where you are in the world, but certainly from where I am. So yeah, we got this leg down. We've made 1, 2, 3 attempts to go higher. So this does look like we're pushing down. I'd like to get a couple of legs up and a bearish signal before I went low. I just can't go there. It's too far from the EMA. But I would say the chance of coming down here, I think, will be pretty good. But yeah, we do seem to be in a slightly maybe bearish cycle just at the moment. Leg down, leg down. Anybody notice Bitcoin? $72,000, unbelievable, isn't it? I wouldn't be shocked if we hit $100,000 in the next few months. I really wouldn't. Where are we now? Yeah, it's just floating around the 71,500. Unbelievable, isn't it? To think it wasn't that long ago. What, 6 months? It was $16,000. Unbelievable. I mean, if you've got some spare money and you got in at Bitcoin right and you know a little bit about crypto, man, you can make some profits. There's not many things in life where you can triple or quadruple your money in a short space of time. Certainly couldn't do it as a trader, put it that way. So that's interesting. So we've had a break out of this and we've come straight back into this channel. Range, sorry. You know, I'm just looking at this indicator. Does anybody know what that orange or brown line is in the middle? Or is that just the strongest part, which is here? I would like to have some sort of idea of volume coming in. I'd like something down the bottom here, but VPOC, volume point of control. Okay, so is that just the strongest level of the volume? Price at maximum volume. Okay, that makes sense. Trouble is, sometimes, you know, when I talk about we're moving in an uptrend, when it goes very slowly, sometimes it's got a habit of coming down. It would be nice to maybe look at the volume coming in at the time. Works just like a magnet. Okay, so it comes back up to it and drops down because that is exactly where it is. It's about here. So it's come up to it. It's just below that line, literally just there it is. It's weird that that's come up straight to it. So it works very similar as I use my EMA. It's like a magnet. Price comes back to it, comes back to it, comes away from it, comes back to it. So that's useful to know. So it's just another little sounds very much like an EMA, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's interesting. It's come back to it. Unfortunately, there's no entry for us there anyway, but I'm wondering now whether we were either ranging in this area or we are starting to come down. But let's just put that there because I think there's a good chance. So you can guess it by drawing any line on the chart that crosses the most bars. Yeah, I suppose so. It certainly does around here. It's right round, well, it's right round this midline, I think. Yeah, just under the midline there, which is interesting. I mean, I want to keep this chart as clean as I can, but it would be nice to know where the majority of the volume is. I mean, yeah, I suppose, like I say, you can probably see it there, can't you? But it's volume. It doesn't necessarily tell you whether it's volume going along. I think if it could tell you to do that, it'd be more like a magic bullet than an indicator. But yeah, I suppose it doesn't hurt to have a clear picture of it. You can just have it at a quick glance then. So looking on the NQ, we do look like we're working down at the moment. Every time, if you look at the bottoms, we're continuously making lower highs. So that is interesting and very much the same. So it is more sideways than down at the moment, but what I will say is it's given us a bit of a picture. So there is a failure there. In fact, there's a second entry long which is triggered. The trouble is we've broken below that and we're not in a hurry down, so I would have said that would be the way we would be going. But we're also a little bit sideways, so I'm more unclear whether we're more downwards than sideways. I suppose the way this is going would make sense. So we got a bunch of touches there and a few there, so I think that kind of gives us not a bad picture. We are coming down where I thought, so we got this down. A couple of attempts to go higher, bearish bar, that came down, pushed up. We got 1, 2, 3 attempts to go higher and down again. So we do seem to be making lower highs and lower lows, which is obviously the indication of a downtrend. So based on what I could see at the latter part of yesterday, followed again, followed by a correction, then down again. So I think there's I think for me is I can sort of sense some downward stuff at the moment. So whether we come down to that level or not, who knows? But there is a possibility that is going to continue down at the moment. Clear 2600. Good on you, mate. Good lad. NQ this morning. I love how quick it can drop. Yeah, it's nice to hit that level, isn't it? To be fair, I'm about $600 off one. I'll show you. 2 of my payments. They're not far away. So, yeah, that's $2.50 under 2,000. That's $105 under 2,000. So $710 would qualify those two for payments, so not far away there. And what I am doing is that as soon as I hit above that $2,600 level, I'm going to take a payment, and then I'm going to reduce that account down to 1 contract. And as far as I'm concerned, that account then has paid for itself 11 times over, and I'm now trading free money on that. So I'll reduce that to 1 contract and just let that ride. Let it ride up. When I get to 2,500 again, then I'll increase it to 2 contracts and see if I can't grow that up to maybe 5,000 or 7,000, so I can start taking regular monthlies off that. So once accounts pay for itself, it's free money in my opinion, and I'll just let it go. I'll let it ride. It's paid for itself, and then I'll use some of the money to add maybe three toward 3 more accounts. I like the fact once you've had a payment, for some reason, if the account does get blown because it's, you know, at a smaller level, it's not a major concern. It's paid for itself. It just concerns me about building larger amounts of money in these accounts with the continuous, you know, scare of rhythmic tend to spazzing out, for want of a better word. Because it's just a bit concerning. I'd love to be able to build my accounts up to 10,000 each and take 2,000 a month, but with the uncertainty of rhythmic, I just can't do it. Okay, so we're close to the EMA. We seem to be looping down, so we're close to the EMA, but this is too far from the EMA for me to take. So I'd like another leg back, really, but I just meant profit. Okay. Sorry, mate, I take it back. You're not amazing. Yeah, I get you, mate. I get you. Oh, there was me blowing your trumpet for you then. I'll take it all back. Yeah, it is a clearer chart at the moment, the NQ, isn't it? I don't think that would have been a bad place to short. That as well, maybe. I like the fact that we got a second entry long. It's triggered that. We have got a bit of a stem on there, but that wouldn't concern me if I was confident I knew where we were going. But we got a touch. We got 1, 2, 3 touches right along that line. What's it doing? It's going down 9 times out of 10, isn't it? So yeah, you may take that one. I did look at that one. It's a bit too far from the EMA. It's kind of what I don't mind. If we had a second entry short there, it is a bit far from the EMA, but if we had a second entry short on the NQ and it was very close to the EMA, then I would take a short on the NQ, which means then I don't mind taking that a little bit further away because that's confirming exactly what I'm seeing there. But unfortunately, it was only really a first entry. We got a first entry, second entry. It's a third entry, so it's too far with only having a first entry there. First, second, third. Yeah, once it starts to go. So let's see what happens here. Maybe after this and a break, we are doing a bit of sideways. Trying to make $100 a day per account. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable, that is, mate. Just printing my paycheck. I like that, yeah. Up with 20 accounts. Absolutely. People think you need to try and make ridiculous amounts of money. It's these small amounts and multiple accounts that add up. So, yeah, ideally, I like to get 5 points a week. That's sort of my target. I don't set financial targets, really, because obviously the market will only give you what it gives you. You don't choose that. You choose to take the trades, but it chooses whether you get an offer or not. So setting a financial target, I would say if you manage to hit 200 a day and then you want to give up, I think that's okay to set something like that if I hit a target. But aiming for a target, I think sometimes is a recipe for disaster. So, but yeah, if I can get 5 points, that's $500 on 2 accounts and on 2 contracts and 250 a week on 1 contract. So that's fine for me. So that would be the equivalent of $1,000 a month trading 1 contract and $2,000 a month trading 2. But yeah, you don't need to have a lot. I mean, my target really, or I try and get 1 good trade a day out of the market. If it'll give me that, great. If it happens to give me more, happy days, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. About a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I had 3 trades, really nice trades within about 45 minutes. So on the odd occasion, it will give you multiple offers. And if you remember when was it last week, I took that 1 trade, didn't I, which ended up being 6 points. And then it gave us a lower high and a failure straight after it, which were both nice setups. And then sometimes you'll sit here for 4 hours and get nothing. So it's a matter of just capitalizing when you do get multiple offers, and then just just keeping your head down and waiting for something. So we seem to have a channel down here now. So my initial thoughts of some continuation down seem to be right. It is early days yet. But it'd be nice. So, let me just get rid of that at the moment. So it'd be nice to get a couple of legs up. And then a short, because I wouldn't mind incorporating that. So we've got a touch there and a touch there. So if we can get 2 legs up, which is a breakout of this smaller channel, I wouldn't mind going short there, because I would just say it would be bouncing off what I would consider a larger channel. But just for now, I'm just going to remove it. So we got a touch, and what looks like a break. Trouble is, we're already at the EMA on the NQ, so we may not even get there. Let's see. We just broke overnight lows, yeah. So we're already at the EMA on the NQ. So let's just have a little look at that. Let's put that there. So you may call that one attempt to go higher. It was a push and a retest. Second attempt to go higher. If we can get a second entry short off this, that would be, I would consider that a triple test off the NQ. So one attempt, second attempt, third attempt would be a triple test, and I would expect to come down some more. I mean, we've broken the overnight lows there, and we came back and came down again, and then we've come back and come down again. So let's just have a little look. Come on, push up a bit. Okay, we could be setting up for a nice triple test here on the NQ. Unfortunately, I don't sell the trade the NQ. Let's see what happens here. So that little bullish bar there, we triggered above it. So that, I think, is not a bad entry if you're trading the NQ. It's a second entry short. I like the way it's triggered one tick above there and it's coming down. So that for me will be a triple test. Unfortunately, I've got nothing on here. I'm too far from the EMA. Let's see. It has pulled back a little bit, that. So let's see how it finishes. It is a second entry short, triple test. If that finishes on its lows, I don't think that's a bad entry. Hasn't finished that well. So now what I would say is maybe we're going to have a failed breakout of a range. I'd like to come here a bit and fail break out the range. That would get price back to the EMA, hopefully, on the yes. Right. If it was a nice triple test, I may consider that because it's a relatively small bar. It's about 6 ticks, I would say, at a push. So it's not bad. That it's too far from the EMA for me. It looks like a little break, so but I think it's quite a small risk. So if you took it a tick above and a tick below, it's a little bit bigger than I thought. Let's have a look. So it's about a 2-point risk, tick above, tick below, which is yeah, it's 0.5 bar, tick above, tick below. It's quite a small bar, but is this a spike in a channel? It may be. That does look like a spike in a channel to me. Touch, close enough, touch, yeah. So maybe that wasn't terrible. Yeah, it's not for me. I wouldn't take that ordinarily. But let's have a look. So, failed break out of a range, second entry short here would be nice. Push down, clearly going sideways, failed breakout of a range. I'd like to trigger above there and come down with a nice bearish bar. I don't mind it taking its time because it's given us a chance to get a second entry short here. That's it, we've triggered below good. Now let's have another bar and come up. Trigger above there and then come down bearish. So there is a second entry short there. I'm a little concerned about that. For me, it's too far from the EMA. So I'm just going to sit tight. I was going to see if there's a lower high, but I don't. We're going to. See if we get a lower high. Excuse me, I've failed about 300 evaluations, but only 45 PAs. I've got 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50 here. It's probably going to work that. I don't think it's a terrible trade, but for me, it's just a little bit too far from that EMA. So I'd have preferred a lower high there. On the NQ, let me have a look at this. We've broken the lows, the overnight lows, whatever you want to call them. We're at the lows here, so I just don't know. But I was looking for a failed breakout the range, and there was a lower high there and came down. But what I'm saying is, at the moment, touch, 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 touch. We've come down this time. We've broken the lows, and we've stalled a little bit. So my concern is we push up close to this. If we to come down low, we may not, but there's a bit of a distance between the bottom of the channel this time around, so I'm just a bit cautious at the moment. That did work comfortably, and I don't think it was a bad trade. It's just I'm a little bit extra cautious at the moment, so I'm sitting tight. So we've got a little channel with a break. We haven't made a new high, but you've got it. Yeah, I don't think it was a bad trade. It was just a little too far for that EMA for me. It could have triggered you and come back up for another leg. That was my concern. But I don't think it was a bad trade. No, you couldn't get in. Yeah, it crossed over. It didn't really pull back, did it? So it came down. It came back a bit. I mean, you'd have got in at a limit order, but it's, I don't know, it made your points. It probably made 2 points by then. So I was just hoping. My concern was it was going to trigger. We were going to come down a couple of ticks and then push back up to the EMA. This failed breakout of a range here is not what I would consider a great setup. A lot of these times if you get a really nice setup, it comes down really quick, and that didn't. we came down and stalled, so I was concerned we were maybe going to retest this, and that may have taken it above this, but it worked fine anyway, so I've got no issues. If it doesn't feel right, I just leave it. And at the moment, I've got a 95% win rate, so just holding on a little bit. You are going to miss the odd trade, but I got it, but not AAA. Yeah, I don't think it was that. Yeah, a little bit closer to the EMA, maybe broken a high. If it had broke that high a little bit and then dropped, I ummed and ahed about it, but I am close to payout on a couple of my accounts, so I'm just want to try and pick up those AAAs. Yeah, I'd call it a double A, let's call it, but I'm all right, Chris. How are you doing, mate? How you doing, Brant? How you doing? But this, yeah, I'm just more concerned with this, but we are touching the tops nice and the bottoms, and we've come down and we haven't quite got to the bottom. We're about a third of the, maybe just under a third, 3/4 of the way, a quarter to a third away from the bottom, so it may pull back up here, so we'll see anyway. It is a may. But after that failed breakout with a lower high, it's not a fantastic setup, I don't think. But a lot of times when we do get these breakouts, they rush below the EMA quickly because a lot of people... I took one. No, I didn't take one, actually. I noticed one. I jumped in, but it came down that thick, and 3 bars, we were straight through the EMA and out the bottom. So sometimes these really good setups just drop. But because we're so far away from the bottom of that range, I would expect it to go sideways and maybe come back up and retest some of this. So we'll see anyway. I'd love it to just continue down, because if we can get a lower high here, we may end up, doing something like this. I don't know, maybe but until this sort of finishes and starts to work down, I wouldn't know where to draw that if indeed that's what was happening. But that does look like a spiking channel. It's fitting nice with a break and a new low. So let's just see. Pricing, I was worked out there. Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't a huge bar, was it? What is it? A couple of points, 2.5 points. In this day and age, really, the way prices can be the other day, I took a bar the other day, which was 6.5 points. It moved that quick, and I liked the setup. But when I found out how big it was, I nearly shat myself on the spot. So it's not a massive risk. If you went a tick above it and a tick below it, there you go. In fact, probably even less than that. Yeah, so realistically, a tick above, tick below, it's 2.25 points. At the moment, the way things are at the moment, that's probably about as good as you'll get at the moment. Having a good day today. 1.7k day for. Good on you, mate. Well done. Good on you. I love hearing about people doing well. Some people hate it, but I love it. It gives me hope. So let's have a look. This was my concern, that this was going to come back because of this distance. So let's just see what happens. There is this vacant area up here, see, so and if that does pop up, it did make a new low anyway. So I mean, if you took that and got out of those lows, you know what I've noticed? A good place to take them, which seems reliable, is at the bottom of the main part of the bar. Trades I've taken before when I've been at the bottom, they haven't always hit it, but they always seem to get to that bottom where the main body is. So that's kind of where I like to take them. And you've got a nice 2.5 points there, maybe a bit more. So there's plenty there. But just a little bit too far away for the EMA for comfort. If I saw something really nice on here, then I wouldn't mind. If we had something similar here, then I wouldn't mind taking that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about risk. That is always you're always going to win more on that bar than you are lose on it. So, if you're one of those that play the numbers, I haven't got the confidence to play the numbers. I'm a coward. I like to just try and win the trade. But if you play the numbers, it makes perfect sense. I mean, if you're winning 75% of the time, why wouldn't you take it? I mean, at the end of the day, the maths don't lie, do they? So we've had this channel down here, a bit of a spike in channel with a break and a new low, so that's played out. So let me just have a look at this. We've definitely got a bearish feel for the day so far. Whether it will continue is another matter, but looking at the latter part of Friday, we seem to have this leg down and a bit of a correction, and the later part of the day, followed by the overnights, does seem to be continuing down. So that's my thoughts at the moment. Whether it will continue is another matter, but let's have a look at here. Yeah, there may be something. It's a little bit broad for me, but at the end of the day, it may look something like that. So let's have a look. So touch on the NQ. We've gone up, nicked it, and dropped down. So perhaps that is a better failed breakout of this. Let's see what happens. It has triggered. See if that stop holds. Okay, so we got a big bearish bar there. It pulled back 3/4 of the way, but it's dropped again. So, I mean, that's fairly bearish, isn't it? So maybe a lower high. But that's the type of fail breakout I would like. Just it triggered above any type of bullish bar there. And then dropped. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, walk away, mate. If you've done really well, yeah, absolutely walk away. The one thing about walking away with profit is you're guaranteed that profit. You've made it. Whereas if you continue to trade, there's always that possibility. Do you know something? If we can get a lower high, I'm going to take that, and I'll tell you why. Because that, to me, now looks like a bigger channel. I actually prefer this than the other one. That fits nice, I think. So if we can get a lower high here, and I want the same here, then I'd go short there, because that, to me, looks like there may be something bigger there. Come on, give us a lower high. I don't think it's going to. Push up. Come on, push up a little bit. Come on, big. Come on, lower high. We've pulled back in on the NQ, and we look like we're retesting the underside of this, which I like, because it may give us a chance to get a lower high here. I'm not sure whether it will or not. We just seem to be dropping here. That's a shame. That's a shame. A couple of more ticks, I'd have taken something like that. Has there been any time change today? Yeah, we've rolled forward to June's contract, if that's what you mean. Time change, yes. US went forward 1 hour, I believe early hours of yesterday morning. I didn't know myself till late last night. Otherwise, you'd have been sat here by yourself. But to now. So yeah, there's an hour's change. I know in the UK we catch up. I think it's the 31st of the month. Yeah, I thought you US guys were closer. We're only a week apart from us, but perhaps it's just how it's fallen this time round. I don't know. You missed that. Yeah, that's why you've just turned up now, I think, bud. Last time I missed it. That's a shame, that is. I thought with this testing the underside we may get a little pullback here, but we weren't so lucky. Maybe we get one now, eh? It does. It kind of works. We've got a touch, a touch, a touch. Kind of think we are coming down by the looks of things, but we need something a little bit more substantial. That for me is no good. It's just too far from the EMA. You could get stung there. Would it work? Possibly, but it's not for me. What I'm noticing on here is the NQ seems to be moving up quite freely. This is struggling to go up, which tells me it's quite bearish. If you notice, we're moving up quite rapidly here, but we're really struggling. So that's a good sign. So this to me looks more bearish than the NQ. Let's have a look. It does seem like it. So is that close enough for me? It's very close to the bottoms there, but
order submitted.
Let's see how it falls on the NQ. Too sideways for me.
Order cancelled.
Unfortunately, it's a bit congested. See, what I'm seeing now is this looks like a downtrend, touching multiple times there. 1, 2, 3 areas there, and we haven't come down far enough. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had a break of this channel now. So I'm just being careful about going short here. Good night, everyone. Yeah, you take it easy, Rodian. Big bearish bar there, but I'm sitting tight just at the moment. It is a second entry short, but I'm just not sure what the NQ is doing at the moment. We could have a break on the NQ. And that body's a bit too far for me. Is it going to work? Probably. But it's 12 points, so it's 3 points. Tick above, tick below, it's 3.5 point risk. It's probably not terrible. A lower high might be the safer option, but just at the moment, it's a bit congested here. There's not much room to that low. So I'm sitting tight. Second entry short. It's just a little bit congested, yeah. Is it going to work? Probably. But it's just too risky at the moment. I mean, if you look at the NQ, that to me looks like a nice channel. It's fitting really nice along the tops and the bottoms, but then we don't come as far. We come up and bounce, but look, we don't get down the bottom of this channel, which tells me we may push up again and retest it, or even have a break. So if there's a possibility of some upward movement followed by a break, taking that trade for me would potentially be suicidal. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but that's why I like having this. This picture to me looks like we may be in line for a break, or certainly a retest to this top line. And if we do, that stop might get eaten up. I mean, we've only ticked it by a tick or two, and we're already pulling back. If we do have a break on the NQ here, that stop's going to disappear. Okay, so far, it's still holding on. It may hold on. Sometimes if it's a strong enough position, there's enough stops behind it, it may hold. But I wouldn't want to be in that trade now. It's a 3.5 point risk, and you're a tick off getting stopped out. Yeah, that's it. That's gone. So good decision. It is a second entry short. It does look like it's coming down. We've had a break followed by a quick swift down, and we have tested that underline. But it's one, it's a bit congested. Two, it's close to the lows. There's not a lot of room left, in all fairness. And this, because of this distance, this vacant area on the NQ, tells me the NQ is likely to have a break. And I like that channel. I think it fits beautifully along the top, which tells me it is a channel. But because that vacant area, it's done exactly what I thought. So by staying out of that trade, so I can't tell you how many times the NQ has saved me on a trade. Would I have taken that one without the NQ? Probably not anyway, because it is a bit congested. So, you know, it does definitely help my decision making. Judging by what I was seeing there, it did what I expected it to do, or what I thought it was likely to do, which kept me out of that trade. So let's have a little look. Is it going to continue down? I think it's likely to. We've got a channel down. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. A lot of times when we have a break, we make a new low, and I think we will. So that's interesting. That's very much like a penguin trade. We got a leg down. We made one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. So if that does fail and come down, then, you know, it is an if. So it is a bit messy, but it does look like clearly working down. But can we put a channel to it? Maybe. Yeah, it's not terrible. Touch here, touch there, touch there. It is a bit straggly, but sometimes they are. Sometimes they're not as clean cut as we'd like. But based on what I was looking at Friday, you know, it does still look like we're in that downward stuff at the moment. Whether it'll continue or not, who knows. Let's get rid of it at the moment, but just put something there just in case. Because if it does bounce here and start to work down, then I may decide to put that bigger channel there. But at the moment, see, on the NQ, we are fitting nice, but, you know, sometimes these seem to make more sense. So if we do push up here now, then maybe we are just in a bigger range, but I'm not so sure just at the moment. Okay, excuse me, just for a quick minute, I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. Okay. I have started watching The Sopranos. I've never really watched it before, and I was amazed to see it actually started 25 years ago. That's unbelievable. I thought it was about 10 or 15 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. I didn't realise it was that long ago. Good grief. Okay, there is a lower high forming here. We've had a break. So let's see. I think there's now, we've had a channel there. It is very much sideways as well, but there is some support above there. So I'd be interested to see now whether this does come back or not. There's nothing on the ES at the moment, so I'm sitting tight, but I think there's a good chance that may come down a bit closer. Is it going to come down and make a new low? It'd be interesting to see, but okay, so that lower high clearly worked for, I was going to say a couple of points. It's the NQ, isn't it? So I don't know how many points should have got that, but channel with a bit of a break and a lower high. I think there was a fair chance that was going to come down to that EMA. So are we now going to push below it and start to work down or not? Anybody take that on the NQ? Did they that lower high? Straight through the EMA here. If we can get maybe a second entry short here. But the trouble is, so many times now you just don't get an entry. It just ends up moving. Okay, so there is always the possibility that we're bottoming off on this NQ. And we could push up. I mentioned earlier there is a chance that it could just be a bigger range. It's certainly feasible, but at the moment, because we're touching so nice at the top and bottom, I would say for me probably this is a break, but obviously until it tries to push further down, I don't really know, but I want a bit of a pullback there. But look at this, we just turn and come down. It's a bit unfortunate. But channel's even bigger, maybe if you start from 3 p.m. Friday. I think I have, haven't I? No, I did initially. I started from there, but I did try that earlier. So it's certainly possible. Trouble is, I mean, it could be as far as that. Really, it's hard to say at the moment. But to me, it did look like a leg down with a bit of a correction there, which is why I'm certainly thinking to the downside. Hold on a sec, we're getting a bit of a pullback here. I'm just going to pop it back to there just for now, just from a Pat's point of view. I think that probably works okay, actually. Let's leave it there, and it is fitting there, so maybe we get a break here and then down some more. Let me have a look at this. We have pushed up. We've had this channel on the NQ and we've had a break, so if you get a lower high here, I'll take a short there. But there is a possibility it's a range, so I won't just take that. I'm looking for a second entry low, or probably a lower high might be the better option for a leg and another leg down. And if we do, then I'd expect to get down to these lows. So if it's a range, then we may just push up. So we got a break, push up with a break, and then we're continuing on up. But at the moment, I'm not so sure. Okay, leg down. Maybe a first attempt. And then we come down and make a second attempt and then drop. Would be nice. Oh. So let's have a look. It may just be fell break out of a range there. We're coming back in. Maybe it's hard to say. It's early days yet. We need to push below and give us a lower high here. And get below that EMA. So I do like the way that's pushing down. So for me, that's a downtrend. So this is a break. So certainly feasible. We're going to come down and make a new low. But as well as a downtrend, it's very much sideways as well. So more importantly, it may be working like a range, but it's hard to say. So we've pushed up. We could have this, and then that may push up some more and get up to these highs, which would make sense. So I've got a bit mixed feelings here. What that's going to do. Even if I wanted to go long there up to here, I wouldn't take that bar anyway. So if I take a short here, that price has to be below that EMA. Looking like it's going down. At the moment, it's above it. So there's nothing that interests me here. Could just push back up to the top, leg up with a break. High, low, and up we go. It's unclear at the moment. No lower high there, unfortunately. Maybe we get one here. Let's have a look. Okay, price is holding above there, so I'd like that to trigger and then come down. Stay about there, stay there, and then push up a little bit. Okay, I'd like to see this trigger. That would be a second entry, short leg down. One attempt to go a second out, but it's got to trigger that bar. Come on, give us a setup. And it's going to look right on the NQ as well. If it's not right on the NQ, I'm not interested. Go on, push up another tick. One more tick. Come on, there we go. Okay, so hopefully, if this finishes right, we'll want to do the same here. Trigger above that bar and then come down bearish. So we've got a leg down in the NQ, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. I want this to fail below the EMA, in which case I think we're coming down then. It may go the other way, but I'm not bothered about that. Okay, that's triggered above. I want this to come bearish now.
Order submitted.
Nice looking bearish bar on the NQ, but it's crossed over and started pushing up, so it's not clearly not ready yet.
Order cancelled.
Okay, it's retesting this, so leg and a leg. That might not be a bad option if it triggers above there. Let's see what happens now. I want this to drop now. It's triggered a bullish bar there. It is a second entry long there, so I'd like to see that drop. It's congested at the moment on the NQ, so I wouldn't take a setup. But if it does drop below this level, that's an if. If it does drop below that level, there may be some stops there and possibly there. It may push up, but leg down, 2 attempts to go higher. If it closes below this, still within this channel, I don't think it's going to, but no, it's not going to, I don't think. Still got time. Come on, close. So then I'll be looking for a lower high if that closes below. And I want that to break below that bullish bar. I don't think it's going to, but come on, drop a little bit more. Okay, I can forgive that little tiny bit if it works, but what I'm going to do is put that there on the high of the day. That would allow me to take that up just a minute fraction so that that bar still closes in this. I'm not saying it's going to, but there's 2 legs up. So if this does decide to drop, I'll be looking for a lower high there because I like that channel down there. 2 attempts to go higher, followed by a drop. That's if it happens. Brick, how you doing, bud? Been a while. We're all fine, mate. We're all here. We're all fine. We're all good, mate. Okay, let's zoom out. So, leg down. 1 attempt to go higher. 2nd attempt to go higher. Hard to say at the moment. Excuse me, just for a second. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so we have got a level over here which we're struggling to get above. We tried twice there, dropped. Tried a couple of times there. Let's see what happens here. Because we do. Let me have a look on here. Yeah, just quickly looking. Now, I don't use indicators as such, but I am looking at volume. So there is volume levels along here. Strong volume along here. So interesting just to see what happens here. But we have bounced off there. So that's interesting. We've bunched up here many times. So we've had a leg with a break, a couple of pushes up to this top again. So let's see what happens. See if this bearish bar triggers. If it does and starts to work down, then we'll see what we get on here. So there's a lower high on the end, on the yes. Can't take this at the moment because, one, it's far from the main. 2, we seem to be finding a level there. So we need to figure out whether this is going to hold or we're going to push up. Ooh. Okay, so we're coming up now on the yes to this volume. And there's also there's a little bit, no, it's all right, we've got the midline over here, so maybe that's just 2 legs and then down. It's hard to say at the moment, but we are coming up to this volume level. So for me, that does look like a range. So it'll be interesting to see if this fails. Just quickly on the ES, exactly the same 2000 tick chart. We're right at this level here. The strongest part of this volume is here. So I'd be interested to see how that reacts. We've also had 2 legs up. Also had a measured leg on the NQ. We've had a leg up, a couple of legs back, and another leg up, and we're bouncing off this area now twice. So this will be interesting. Yeah, works. What I will say, I was watching his video on Friday, and he frustrates the hell out of me, and I'll tell you why. One, the strategy he takes when the market opens, in my opinion, is brilliant. It works beautifully. Every time I open his chart, I open his video, when he first starts, they're all green, which I think is brilliant. The trouble is then, that's when he should knock it on the head and go home. But he wants to stream, and he wants to make the stream interesting. So then he tries some other strategy to try and trade. And a lot of the time he's losing. I watched him trade 2 PA accounts which had reached his payment level, and he blew both of them. And I don't get that. Why try and entertain? And he said before he doesn't want to make the stream boring. Why have a stream at all if you're going to make your money before the stream starts, and then when the stream starts, you end up blowing accounts that are within that pay level? So we could have withdrawn that. So we started off when the market, when he first opened his stream on Friday, it was $4,395 up. And then when he ended his stream, he was over $800 down. So we'd lost over $5,000 trying to be entertaining on a stream with a strategy different than the one he uses to make the money. It makes no sense to me, that does. If that was me, and I made that money before I streamed, and I started to stream, and all I did was lose throughout the stream, I'd stop the stream because it's pointless. I just don't get that. Whatever he does, and he doesn't show us his strategy, he's brilliant at it, and it works, and it's making him a ton of money. So why stream and lose a chunk of it every day? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's my opinion. But whatever he does with his strategy, it works brilliantly every time. I first start his stream off, he's green. Everything's green. $300, $400, $500, $600 up. I wish I knew what his strategy was. But then he comes on and blows a chunk of it. Okay, so it's looking like a range on the NQ, and we've broke above this and we've dropped back. So are we going to continue up? Is there a bigger channel, or are we now going to come back towards the bottom? That is the question. So there is a possibility that there is a channel up there. That measured move is played out, so that's done the trick. And that's part of the reason why I've put that there. I'm not a massive fan of it here. It just doesn't look as nice. So I think... well, I don't know, in all fairness. I'm not sure how I feel about this at the moment. So there's definitely some sideways there. That's clear. And we push down and a bit more sideways. So are we actually coming down now? So that's interesting. So we've got a bullish bar there, which is triggered. Now, doesn't mean we're coming in. It just means we're maybe trapping along. So we may come down to here. So I'm not ready to take a short on this yet. Although we've had that channel up, it's made a new high. We've clearly made measured legs by the look of it. So depending on where you go from, we've clearly made more than a measured leg. And we're right at the strongest level of volume at the moment. And when we were up here before, it pushed down. So interesting to see what we do here. What time period am I in the NQ? The 1500 tick chart, bud. 1500 tick chart. Yeah, it's a bit small for you guys to see, isn't it? I should print it. I'll put it under the NQ tomorrow. So trouble is, if I drag the chart in from the size, it'll be compressed and it'll look even worse. So yeah. That's a good question, actually. Somebody told me the 1500 tick chart looks a lot better compared to the 2000 tick chart. But I'm easy, mate. Do you want me to change it to the 2000 tick chart? I don't think it really matters. I don't know how many who trades. I'll tell you what, I should do a poll, shouldn't I? How do I do a poll? Let me have a look. How do I start a poll? Let me have a wee looky. I've only done one of these before. How do I do a poll? Let's try that. Nope, not that. I was just curious. Okay. How do I do a poll anyway? It would be nice to do a poll. That way I could find out whether people prefer the 1500 or the 2000. Yeah, okay. Okay, so looking on the NQ, there's a leg down, a break, and a matching low. So there's a second entry long here. Would I take this? Not just at the moment. Not that I trade this anyway. Oh, I do have a poll. Here we go. Okay, question. I do that. That makes sense. Would you prefer the 1500 tick chart? Click yes. 2000 tick chart? Click no. She prefer NQ chart. Okay, let's see if this works. It's not really a yes and no question, really, but there we go. I think I might have it right. I know there's a lot of you guys trade the NQC, so yeah. Can I see it? Why can't I see it? Yeah, so it's the 2000 tick chart, click no. The 1500 tick chart, click yes. That's on the NQ. If it's indecisive, I'll just leave it where it is. I don't know if that helps you or not. So 1500 tick chart, click yes. 2000 tick chart, click no. So far it's favouring the 1500 tick chart. That seems to be the more popular one. Okay, so I'm sitting tight here at the moment, so this is interesting. So if you took that long there, trigger just stopped you out. Are we coming back into this range? Try to go once. There is a failure there. So let's have a look. 1500 works good for me. Yeah, it's 67% tick chart anyway. The what anyway? So let's call that 67%. Yeah, I've ended the poll now anyway. Okay, so we just leave it at the 1500. Okay, so let's just have a little look at this. So that's interesting. So a leg and a leg. We could go bullish and go long, or this could be a range, in which case we could come down. So I'm keeping an eye on this. I'd like to see a long trigger and then maybe give us something here. We got a channel with a break new high. But this to me looks like a range with a fail breakout. Yeah, it does. So we need a lower high here. Hoping this triggers. Let's just keep an eye on this. I'm really not sure about this. There's two legs. We could still go up. I'd like. Let's see. Come on, at least give us a tick above there, for Christ's sake. Come on. Yeah, good on you, Chris. You take it easy, bud. Okay, so two legs down there. So I'd like to see this bullish bar trigger. If it does trigger and start to come down, I may take that as a lower high. So there is a possibility of an uptrend there, but we are. Let's have a look.
Order submitted.
Let's keep an eye on this.
Order submitted.
Okay, let's see how we get on here. I'm going to give that one extra tick. There's clearly a lower high there. This looks like we're coming back into the range. So
Order filled.
okay, got out for 3/4 of a tick there. We're quite far from the EMA at the moment, so might work, but I'm happy with that. 0.75 would it have made it quite lightly? I'd rather not mess around and just get in and out. Cheers, Speedy. Thank you, mate. Thanks, Akitri. I like that. It's probably going to go down. I wouldn't be shocked if it comes right down, but we do. I'm starting to get the feeling that this is. Oh, there you go. Now, I was tempted to put it there and then follow it down, but the trouble is with that, sometimes if you get a little bit too confident, go for a little bit too much, it comes back. I don't like to be too greedy. I like to get in and out, and I got in with a 0.75. Now, I do, at some point, would like, Comfort made it, to be able to pick up a little bit more profit at some point, but I'd rather do that when I've got substantially more money in my accounts. Would have liked that to close below the EMA. Well, excuse me, the reason I took it is because if I'm looking at the NQ, it's clearly sideways in a range, and we had a breakout of it, a fail, and we had so we trapped some longs there. We had sort of 2 legs back and a bullish bar there, which triggered and came straight down. Once this got below these 2 stops for me, it was coming down. It's in a range. So I was okay to take that. As far as I'm concerned, it wasn't a massive risk. Let me have a look. So a tick below, tick above. So it's a 2.2 point risk, which in the grand scheme of things, considering the average bar size is over 2.5 points, that was with a tick and above. I don't mind that because it just looks like a fail breakout. Most breakout of ranges fail, and that one did royally, pushed in strong. But I like the fact that we came back and there was a bullish bar, that there may have been some trap there. I like the fact that it came down, made a double bottom and then pushed up bullish again. So then more traders may have gone in that thinking we're pushing up, and I like the way it triggered it and then came down. So it does look just more like a range, that. So so I don't like to get too greedy sometimes. So it was just a 0.75. You took the lower high for 5. You got it for 4 points. Balls of steel, mate. Good on you. Yeah. I'll tell you why. So I'm now about 3 trades away from a payout in 2 of these accounts, and sometimes when you get close, I have that urge. I want to try and do it in one go and go for a little bit too more. And if the market comes and reverses and you end up losing instead of taking that regular amount, sometimes that messes with my head a little bit. So I try and be on my best behaviour and be sensible about it. But there you go. So let's have a look. So it was a lower high. It's plus 1.75 points. So we're back to the EMA now. So it'll quite likely come down some more, I would have thought. So there may be another possibility of another one. We'll see. Have a look. Is that an overshoot? I'm going to leave it as a possible overshoot. So are we now? Let me have a look. We're coming down. We've bounced a bunch of times up here, a few times at the top. It does look like more of a range. The bit that put me off is this big, massive empty area here. I'd have preferred it, but maybe, I don't know. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But I just got rid of that range on the NQ. What do I do with that? Okay, that's better. So that for me, does it fit nicest? Yeah. That looks more of a range than this does because we've come down to this area. So we've got a leg up. So we've got a nice measured move right to the nearest tick. And there's quite likely some longs trapped in there. It was also a second entry short stroke failed second entry long. So when I was convinced that was coming down, that's when I got in here. Unfortunately, it gave me a lower high with one tick. Sometimes it just comes down. So there was an entry there. So I took it. Sorry, where did I get in? I think it was a tick below it, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, it was one tick below there, so, and I got out there. Plenty more room, in all fairness, plenty more room. Well, I mean, there was 6 points available there, but sometimes what I used to do was just hold on, and if we get a rush down, is then just get out quickly. But I didn't that time. Once I can get a little bit more money in my accounts, then I don't mind holding on. If you've got $5,000 in your accounts, you don't mind holding on a bit, do you? So, possible second entry short. We've got what looks like a bit of an overshoot at the minute, so it might not be. But I'm just sitting tight. If we can get a second entry short, I may consider a lower high. It's got to look right on here, though. On the NQ. So we've got a channel down with a break. Lower high there. We're into this midline. We've bounced a couple of times on this midline, and there is a bit of support along there. So you can see it there. You can see it there. And a couple of times here. I'm struggling to understand why you took that short. I can't see what you saw. It's a lower high. We push down. We have a little pullback. It's a lower high. So to me, now we are finding some support up there. And if you look up here, where this strongest volume is, we've pushed down quite quickly and we've given a lower high there. So for me, that's what interested me in the trade. And then what gave it even more credence for me was the NQ. This looks way more like a range, and that's a breakout. Most breakouts fail. Most breakouts of a range fail. And that's pushed up. It's come back, came back in once, made 2 more pushes up, and then came back in again. Quite lightly picking up a few long stops there, and then once we got below there, for me, that's when I took that. So that gave it more credence. So the combination of the two, which is why I got in. So based on the NQ, yeah, mainly, yeah, I like the two running side by side. This strikes my interest, and this helps me make the decision. And with the combination, so the NQ for me is like having a second opinion, if you like me saying to you, what do you think of this? And if you go, yeah, it looks bearish for me, that just helps my decision-making process. And judging by how it pushed down quickly, there were some other traders sold that as well, which tells me I wasn't the only one thinking about going short, because we came down about 6 points pretty quickly. So from there, we came down, yeah, 6.5 points pretty quickly. I only use the ES. I was a bit confused. Yeah. Part of the reason I started looking at the NQ, because we do seem to find it hard sometimes to get lots of, to get decent setups on the ES. And I was chatting with Daniel the other night, one of the more experienced traders from Pat's, and he said he tends to average about 1 trade a day, 5 trades a week, and he was commenting that it's nothing compared to the average of 3 a day that we were getting on, when the lockdown was tight. Obviously, that the conditions were unique. But I've been speaking to people over the last 6 months, and a lot of people say they prefer to trade the NQ because they seem to get more setups than the NQ. So I originally put the NQ on here just to try and, there was a second entry short I like there. I was talking, I wasn't focusing there. Second entry short. I probably wouldn't have taken that because we're a little bit too far away from the EMA there, but a lot of people are saying they prefer to trade the NQ because they get better moves, they get more setups. So originally I just got the chart out just to get a feel for it, because obviously the point system is completely different. Yeah, I'm quite glad I didn't take that now. We're quite far from the EMA on the NQ. Although that was a second entry short, it didn't give you much in the way of points before it turned tail and took you out. This is a bit congested for me, so if you went a tick below there, it went more than I thought. Actually, you'd have got 0.5 or a point, whatever you went for. But the fact that it came back and was why I'd have stayed out of there. We're a bit far from the EMA, but I just started looking at it, and I found that when I was glancing between the two, if one moved, the other one did. And another thing I noticed as well, sometimes when the ES chart is very messy and unclear, a lot of the times we get a very similar pattern, but it's a lot more clearer and easier to read. And it started to help me stay out of a couple of bad trades on the ES and also get me into a couple of good trades on the ES. So I just started to feel that it was a useful tool to have as a second opinion. So it got me in that trade there, and it's kept me out of quite a few bad ones, and got me into some as well. So sometimes we find these things purely by accident, but a lot of other traders do look at a lot of other indices just to get a general feel for what's happening. So sometimes if you're not sure whether part of the thing to establish, in a chart is to figure out the direction of price. Am I looking for shorts or am I looking for longs? And sometimes it's a bit messy. So having a second opinion, because pretty much if the NQ drops, this one will, and vice versa. Thanks. Sorry if I've rabbiting on a bit, Thomas. You're from France. I remember this time. I felt rude for not remembering last time, so... but yeah, it just helps me. It's like a second opinion. That's why I use it, really. So there was more points available, but the trouble is I like to think I want to get more points, but when we start to get this stuff, I start to get really nervous, and I'm thinking, do I want the stress or just do I want the scalp? Now, if you've got $10,000 in your PA account, you may hold on here and think, okay, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a leg and a leg. And that would make sense in a range. We come down, we stall at the midline, and we come down again. But while you're trying to build accounts, really, you want to get in and out. Otherwise, it's just pure punishment. So we've had a failed breakout of the range on the NQ. And what you'll find a lot of the time is we'll get one at the bottom as well. So what I expect is to get, depending on where it comes down, is to have the same on the bottom. So let's see if that works. So I would expect to have that same sort of breakout at the bottom. Now, what I will say, down, sideways, I think the market is probably likely to go that way anyway, but let's just see if this is we get into this box. Somewhere around about those lines. So many times when we have one on the other side, we do the same at the other end. But yeah, it was weird, that, wasn't it? It was a second entry short, but I don't like this picture. It's a little bit congested and it's a little bit stemmy. But another reason I wouldn't have taken that one is because we were so far from the EMA here, and we could push back to it. And if we do, it may take that stop out. It never came back to it on the NQ, but it did take that stop out. Already had a few new lows. Yeah. I still think this is going to come down for another leg, personally. It is slowly working down. There is a lower high there, but it's a bit congested on here. So I like to make my decision based on what both charts are doing. Another thing I like about is sometimes we get conflicting pictures. This is looking long and that's looking short. And a lot of the times I'll stay out. Well, I'll always stay out of that. And sometimes there's been setups here which would have got stopped out. So it provides me sort of different dimensions, if you like. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people trade with charts, don't they? So let's have a look. So there may be a bigger channel here. It's hard to say, but we could have a triple test here. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, but I am thinking down here anyway, so. So that's a possibility. And on the NQ as well. It's whether it pulls up or not first, so we'll just keep an eye on that, but that's where I think that's likely to come. So whether you put that to the top or bottom, I don't know, but if you do, it takes us around about in the middle of this, so that'd be interesting to see where that works. We are slowly winding down. I'd have preferred it to go back to the EMA first, but once we get below here, and maybe there, then I think it'll continue down. Think Mac does? Probably not. And I'll tell you why. Mac's been trading for about 28 years. He's been doing that exact same strategy for 28 years. He's almost a master of it. He'll do things the way he's always done it. But what I will say now is we're chatting with other traders and chatting with Daniel, struggling to find decent setups in a day. Now, Mac's been trading that chart for so long, he'll know it inside and back to front. So he won't have any problem spotting things or taking setups that we may not see. And he'll have adapted his thing as well. He will take trades that he doesn't show us because he can. Because, you know, he's developed over time, and you do develop and you notice patterns. And at some point you'll adapt your trading. I think it's natural. Everyone does. And I think that's a lot of why he doesn't show us his trades. Or his setups, because a lot of them will probably be outside of what he teaches us, and he'll end up getting a million emails saying, "Why did you take that? That's not what you show us." But the trouble is, if you see the market doing a certain pattern again and again and again, year after year, you'd be daft not to take it. So I'd say this is likely our second leg down. There is a lower high there, but it's still a bit congested here, so it didn't jump out at me that really, although it would have worked. There was a second entry short there, which a little bit of volatility there got ticked out for a tick, sorry. And then we had a lower high, but because of that little bounce there and a little bit of congestion, it just made me a little bit nervous. See, when Mac teaches us price action, he has a certain format. Whenever you learn something at school, they have a syllabus, don't they? A certain format. You have to teach someone the basics, and the rest really they find out with experience. When you learn to drive, you're not a master, are you? When you learn to drive, they just teach you the basics, and then you find your own style. Some people drive fast, some people drive slow, but you know what I'm saying. We always have our own sort of style of doing things, and we all adapt things slightly. Some people might use other indicators, some people might use other charts just to help them make better decisions. Maybe out of confidence or, for whatever reason. But, it's part of the reason why I like to stream, because you mix with other people. I would have never known how to do half of this if I wasn't mixing with all you guys on there. Some of you guys started using book maps. Some of you guys use the, volume profiles and footprint, and some of you use multiple charts. But it's always useful. And Mac told me this in an email, to develop new ways of making your decision making better and stuff like that. It's perfectly normal. So we've got a little failed breakout of here in a bullish bar, which is triggered and looks like it's going to get stopped out. We've got the same on the NQ. So this for me is going to push down to these lows, but because we've had the breakout, I expect it to drop out the bottom a touch. And so far so good. So, if I'd have had a big chunk of cash in my PA accounts, I may have had the confidence to hold this down to the bottoms, but even if you'd have got down there, there'd have been 10, 11 points. So I took, 0.3 quarters, normally 2 points. This would have given me the equivalent of 6 trades, 5-6 trades. So if you understand what's going on, and you're willing to sort of, let your skills and confidence allow you to sit in a little bit longer, or even maybe just follow to the nearest swing or something. And if you go down to that swing, you've guaranteed yourself 2.25 points, with the potential to get a lot lower. So it's nice to have a guaranteed 2.25 point win with the possibility of getting 15 points. I like the way we're retesting the underside of this. State of market scare people away. Maybe. Yeah, it's certainly a little bit choppy. I wonder if we've got a bit of a spike there. I'm not sure about that. A bigger channel. Okay, so possible second entry short. Not interested for me. So we've had a bullish bar up and it's triggered. Whether you'd have taken that as a high or low. Let's have a look. So possible second entry short there. It's a fairly big old bar and it hasn't finished yet. So yeah, not interested in that. See, this is interesting. See, looking at this order flow volume profile, it's quite strong here as well. So that's interesting. Interesting to see what happens here. There is a second entry short, but the bar's a bit naff for me. But there's volume around this area. I like to think the volume is pushing the market down at the moment, maybe a leg and a leg. It's hard to say. I've only just really got this on here just to have a little look, just to see if it sees this area of volume. So there is a second entry short there. So if we get a lower high here, I would then suggest we are coming down here. So see what happens there. So second entry short, see if we can get a lower high. I wouldn't take that bar for me. It is more bearish, but this also looks like there may be a little channel there. So I'm just, it is a bit choppy and hard to read. So I just want to make sure I'm reading it right. I mean, this is looking like I expected. It does look like a spike and channel with a break. I'd have preferred a lower high, 2 attempts to go higher before we then come down. and a lower high on here, but it does look. It's probably a little bit cleaner on the NQ. Clearly look like we're ranging, and we've had a break out of that range, so we've pushed down quickly into what's looked like a spike and channel. We've had a break of it. It's reacted exactly how I'd expect it to react under that EMA if we're coming down. But I always like a lower high, just in case I've misread it. What I'd like to see is this bullish bar trigger. And the same here. Now, I could be completely wrong. It may come up. It is very choppy, so it could, excuse me, rock it up. So let's see what happens after this bar closes in a second. See if it triggers. Okay, it's triggered. Now this to me looks like it's coming down. Let's give it a second. Yeah, it's getting very wicky. It's not so bad here. Well, it is. It's just very wicky on there, isn't it? So it's hard to say. It does start to look like it's getting a little bit choppy. I'm not sure of that. Okay, there's quite a nice bearish bar forming on the NQ. Just looks a little bit more messy on the ES, in all fairness. There's nothing that interests me here at the moment, even if that does turn out beautifully bearish. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So we got this channel down, one attempt to go higher. Let's see what happens. So maybe a little channel with a break and a new high. Okay, folks, I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. Make myself a quick cup of tea. Why isn't that showing up? There we go. I'm just going to make myself a quick cup of tea, and I'll be around about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. Right. What's going on? Let's have a look. It's just quite messy, isn't it? I don't know what's going on here at the moment. Back up to this volume area again. Strong volume area. Last time we come up here, we had a couple of legs down, so we're here again. It's interesting. Up here again. Tried to push it down a few times and then went. So there does seem to be sort of a lot of selling around that area. So is that going to continue? See with the volume there. Who knows? You don't know you're going for a cold plunge. Crazy, mate, you are. You're crazy. Cold plunge. Cold plunge will be cold beer for me. It wouldn't catch me near freezing cold water. Okay, we're coming up to this volume area again. See what happens along here again. We do seem to be getting rejected from this area. You see it here, here, here. So are we going to get above it or are we going to come down? It's hard to say at the moment. It's unclear here. It's a little bit clear on the NQ, but not as clear. In fact, I can bring that down a little bit. In fact, I mentioned the breakout of here. A lot of other times we'll have one this side. I think the breakout, by the looks of things, was here. We had a break here and a break at the top when it got above here. I had that little box down here thinking we'd come down here. So I think the break was probably there. You could even argue it was something like that. Would sort of make more sense, but let's just pop it like that. That seems to be where the most majority of it sort of resides. So are we? We've had a channel there in the NQ, small tight channel break, new high. So are we now going to continue down? Let's keep an eye on it. If it was anything like last time, we did. Same there, but you never quite know. We didn't quite get as low to these lows, so I mean, depending how you. I'm not sure about this. It's clearly just going sideways at the moment anyway. Sometimes they're quite reliable, these tops. Other times they're just not. They bounce. I mean, we've heard Max say loves trading range days, just shorts the top, buys at the bottom. But that would be great if it closed exactly the same place every time, but it doesn't always. So far, anyway, we haven't got above this. Market hasn't closed above that price since, well, what are we now, for about 4 hours. It's about 11:30 UK time, 12:30. Yeah, so it's about 4.5 hours. Price hasn't broken above this level. Every time we get up here, it's rejected there again. That was the third time. Often when we make an attempt, we had the channel break new high, made 2 more attempts to go, and then we came down. We pushed up here, we had a break, we made 2 attempts, came down, lower high, and then came down. So you probably expect the same thing here. It's, you know, we've got rejected off the top, but you don't know whether we're going to go back and have another go. And yeah, you can see that by that strong volume up here. above it and get rejected. Let's just drag it in again. I've only just started using this, just an area of volume just to show where that, and whenever we get up here, that little area there, we seem to be rejected. We got above it and then push below it. We got above it and then push below it. So it does seem to be, yeah, we're actually pushed quickly below the EMA there. So let's just see whether we get a lower high. How did I get that? A couple of people just mentioned it. They use it because I mentioned it'd be nice to have some volume to see where the stronger. I mean, you can pretty much tell, like someone pointing out the obvious earlier, where the bars seem to be hitting. But that there, I use my own lifetime license. So you need a lifetime license for that, but it's just along here. Those sort of, those little boxes along the side there. You can see it on the bigger chart there. But I think you could only get them if you have the lifetime license, which I have. I tried to get it Friday or Thursday, but someone reminded me you need a lifetime license. Fortunately, I have it. I don't use it much, but I might as well get some benefit. But it just shows us, I mean, you can pretty much tell where the volume is anyway. Whenever it's getting up here, it's going lower, but that shows multiple areas, and sometimes it's just a bit clearer. I mean, it doesn't alter my strategy. I still come in at the right areas, but sometimes it's just more of an obvious reminder to you sometimes that, price seems to be getting rejected from this area. I don't tend to use a lot in the way of, but anything that can maybe just strengthen my decision making. So you don't really need that. I mean, you can see where the volume is, mainly this line. Whenever price is getting up to it, it's rejecting. So whenever price is in, volume's coming in, selling volume, which is pushing it down. So we had the channel, the break, the new high, and we made 2 more attempts to push higher. And that's usually the case. We'll try a couple of times. If it doesn't work, they'll just give up. And obviously we came right down to the bottom there. We had that channel there. We had a break. We made 1 push higher, second push higher, came back to the EMA, and then just we stopped at the EMA and then just played straight on through it then. We had a break out of that channel and then a couple of pushes down to a new low. So we've been up here again. Same story. We've been rejected. So maybe we're going to have another go. I mean, in all honesty, if I look on my NQ, I haven't come right from the bottom. So I would suggest that would probably be a better area. Yeah, that makes a bit more sense. We've had a nice tight trend. We've had a break. We've pushed up. We've made a new high. So that channel's played out exactly the same as that. And we've rejected. Very similar to that, really. Maybe slightly quicker because we've already been a few times. So we tend to have an idea of what's going to... There is a lower high there, but I am just... I'm just waiting. It's only a first... In fact, it is a second entry short, that. But... because we didn't get right down the bottom here after last time, I'm just a little bit concerned that we're not going to make another attempt to go higher because we haven't come to the bottom like we did there. And does that mean volume's running out with the sellers and buyers are trying to push it higher? So I'm just staying out of that. And the way that's triggered and starting to push higher, it might have been a good decision. We'll see. I'd rather wait for a lower high. If you wait for a lower high, you've got a lot less chance of getting stopped out because it is quite choppy as well. It's a little bit unpredictable. It's quite wicky in parts, which does mean it can be a little bit more dangerous to trade. So sometimes you're better off just sitting tight. But if we can get a lower high here, I might have a go at that and get out. There's clearly some support around there just below the middle line, so that might not be a bad, as long as I can get out before this. I don't like it when it does that. It looks like it's sucking in shorts. It's a pattern I see now and again. It'll trigger, pull back, won't get to the top, and then drop back down bearish. And now that might indicate to traders we've tried to get higher and we've struggled. So they then might jump in. And I see this quite a lot. It'll go up, it won't reach the top, and it'll come down bearish. And you'll think, yeah, fine, now I'll have the confidence to jump in. And a lot of the times then it turns up and stops you out. Or sometimes it'll do it a couple of times. Sometimes you get another little bar and it'll start to push slowly. And then all of a sudden, it always seems to do it right on the nail. It reverses and stops you out. So I'd much rather see a lower high below that bar, preferably. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, failure. So just have a look at that. That might be a better option. I'm closely looking at this. Price is at the EMA at the moment. If it's looking congested here, I might have to stay out of it. We'll see.
Order submitted. Order cancelled.
No, I don't like that. Now it's backing up a little bit, stacking up a touch. It's probably going to work. We've had 2 attempts to push higher, but it's stacking up. So I'm sitting tight there. I kind of like that though, 2 attempts to push higher. If that closed on its lows, I'd have taken that. You cancel it too, did you? It looks like it's pushing down, and it probably will. But I just don't like the way it's backed up and it's sat right there. We've got matching lows. It's probably working. Sometimes it does it. It's just the way it is. And everything's a bit flat there, but it does look like it's working. This is coming down by the looks of things. Yeah. It did what it was supposed to. It's just a bit unfortunate, though. If that was finished close to its lows, I'd have taken that one. So if you'd have taken it a tick below it, you would have got 2 points. I would have suggested close to it anyway. Should have dropped and then golfing. Yeah, what's making me nervous is because it does look like it's stacking up just a little bit. So, do you know, I've mentioned this before. After a while, you didn't feel confident. Yeah. When you're looking at these trades and when you get into a trade, and you know, I have mentioned this quite a few times, so if I am getting on your nerves, just switch your volume down. But when you're looking at these setups again and again and again, this is not something we're just having a quick glance at. We're glued to these. We're concentrating on these pictures and these setups. And when you've lost lots of trades and you've been in these setups, you do get an image which stays in your head. You know, that brain's capable of carrying millions and millions and millions of different images. And whenever you lose a trade, because you're so invested in it, it's really frustrating, and you tend to store that picture in your brain. And when you get to a very similar scenario, something just doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel... And I swear by that feeling, that gut instinct. If you get that gut instinct, something doesn't feel right, really, really use that and take advantage of it, because, you know, we are invested in these trades, which means you really are focusing on it. It's not something you're having a quick glance at. You know, we're really invested. So what I tend to do now, I'll look at something, and if it doesn't feel right, I can either, you know, I usually get a nice, warm, fuzzy, excited feeling like a 2-year-old at Christmas, and I can't click the button quick enough, or something doesn't feel right and I stay out of it. So if you had taken that one, you'd have got your points, or depending, but it went down quick and then turned up. So if you'd have taken that lower high, it's hard to say, but can you see what's happening? Stop would have taken above there. Let's see if that one would have held. It's flat and I just don't like it. It's not giving me a nice feeling. So it broke a tick above there as well. So if you'd have got in on that lower high, you'd have got out for 2 points. I agree. So I was streaming the other day, 5 second rule. If you don't see it in 5 seconds, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's hard to put your finger on it. And the way I'll describe it, and I've done it before, if you ever drive somewhere in your car, you ever drive for a village, sometimes you can drive through that village 5 years later and just you'll recognise something, and it's uncanny how that happens. So when you're that focused on these pictures, these setups, whenever something's not right, you'll get a feeling. You really will. Maybe a triple test there. You really will get a feeling. And I swear by that feeling. So we've made one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, possible triple test. But I'm just staying tight at the moment because it is a triple test, but it is a little bit congested. So, in fact, I actually don't mind that as a triple test, and I'll tell you why. What I'm going to do is just toggle off my replicanto, and if it works, it hasn't done anyway. Sorry, I was just going to trade this on 2 contracts, but let's leave it as it is and toggle back on. I like the fact that you can do that. Let me just check everything's come back up. So,
Order submitted.
Yeah, that's fine.
Order cancelled.
Yeah, I mean, if that finished bearish, I may have had a go at that, but I wouldn't want to do it on all my accounts because I'm not what I would consider the best at triple tests. But we've got a leg down and we've tried once, twice, and this looks like 3 attempts to go higher. And usually, when we have multiple attempts, we'll give up. We did there. We pushed up. We made 2 more attempts to go higher. After this, we got a leg down, 1, 2, 3 attempts to go higher, and then we came down. So we make a leg down, we made 1, 2, 3 attempts to go higher, and then we'll come down. That's what I think anyway. So I am going to toggle off that and go for 2 contracts and see how that holds, just in case. I like that.
Order filled.
1, 2, 3. That bar there I'm taking. I'm only doing it on one of my accounts. Just going to give that an extra tick. That's that extra tick just to see if it's going to take me out. Yeah, it is. Okay. It happens. I'm glad I only did it on the one account. So let's get that back. Let me have a look. Leg down, break, second entry short. Let's have a look. Right, that is a failed breakout of this. I actually prefer that. Let me just see. Second entry short, failed breakout of this. Let's just see. Going short after a new low was ambitious. We still often see that triple test. It's why I decided to just go for the one on the one account. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think the reason I took it is because we've hold on a second. It's just we're back into this volume area now. Let's have a look. There's a possible second entry short there. It hasn't fell right. It's all right. It's a fail break out of this. Let's see what happens. One, two. We had something similar there. We'd already made a new low and then we came down. See, so I like what I'm seeing on the NQ at the moment. Channel 1, 2 legs up. We're coming up to this volume again. Three and a quarter points. Let's have a zoom out here. Not sure about this. Let's have a look. Can we micros to flip account secure? I don't think we're allowed to do that. In fact, I don't think we're allowed to do that. Someone said the other day you can do it on 2 days over the 10. I'm not sure, so you're going to have to get some advice for someone else there, so I'm not too sure. But someone said the other day, I mean, I suppose what you can do, if you're comfortably over, you could get into a 1 point trade and get straight out of it, or maybe just risk it for a tick or a couple of ticks. So even if you lose on one contract, you might lose $25. Depends how much you're up, really, I suppose. You know. I don't personally, and I've just changed the way I'm looking at accounts. Personally, because of the slight issues we have with Rhythmic, it makes me nervous holding on to accounts. So my plan is to take a payment when we get above $2,600. What I'll do is take the full $2,000, reduce it to one contract, and then trade it just carefully. Just let it ride slowly, so the account effectively is paid for itself. So that's me personally. I like what the Alpine trader does. When it reaches payment level, he takes a payment, reduces his risk, and carries on. I kind of like that. Okay, so we've had a little bit of bounce off the top there, but there's nothing I can really do here. It's hard to know what the hell's going on at the moment. Yeah, 4 more days left. If I was you, just trade it very carefully. Just trade it very carefully on about triple test up here. Fell break out of this, I think. See if we can get a lower high. Doji kept you out, yeah. It's hard to say. I don't like picking tops. I prefer to take a lower high. We've had this channel down here on the NQ and we've had a break. My only concern is we haven't been down to the bottoms. Perhaps because of the overshoot, we're just coming and retesting. I'd like to see this trigger. If this triggers and it comes down below there, I'd say then there's a chance we're going to come down, but it's still hard to say, really. I mean, there may be a bigger channel going up. So hard to say. Trouble is, would you want to go long into it? We haven't closed above here in about 5 hours. So would you want to go long? I wouldn't expect it so. So yeah, perhaps because we've had the overshoot, we've just made multiple tests. So we've made 1, 2, we've made 3 attempts to push higher here. So I think there's a chance this could come down. We'll see. Your chart looks different. Different from what? From yours? Have you reloaded your historic data? I've reloaded mine. Let's see if there's triggers. I just couldn't bring myself to go long because we've not been above here, so yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? There is a possible lower high forming on the NQ. Am I confident it's an uptrend? No. It's a possibility. I'm trading it more like a range at the moment, to be honest with you. So it's been rejected off these levels, so I'm expecting it to go down. I just put it there out of a point of interest, because if it does continue to work, then I'll change my plans. So let's have a look. We got this channel down in the NQ. We've made 1 attempt to go higher, 2nd attempt to go higher. It's hard to know whether we're going to push up or we're going to get rejected again and come back down, because every time we've been up to these levels, with the exception of this, we've just came back into the range. Okay, so we've made 1 attempt to go higher. We've made a 2nd attempt to go higher. Back to the MA now. We're making a 3rd attempt to go higher. Did the same here. 1, 2, 3, and then we dropped. That's interesting. There is a lower high there, so let's get rid of that for a minute. This is the 3rd attempt to go higher. We're finally getting above this area now. Let's have a look. So we've got this channel down. We've made it's almost like 2 legs up, isn't it? Be interesting to see if it rejects off here. If it does, then I can see it coming down. Let's have a look. So we've got a channel, a break, and a new high. 1, 2, 3. That's actually not a bad place to short. I don't think. I tend to not do this. See if we can get a lower high. Leg break, new high. Yeah, it does. It's struggling. It does look like it's sucking longs in, doesn't it? Whenever it does here, it has a habit of dropping. Okay, I think I'm going to knock it on the head today. How long have I been doing it? How long have I done? I've done my 3 hours, haven't I? Let's have a look. How long have I done? 3 hours and 10 minutes, yeah. I'm going to keep it there. So I've just lost the one trade on that one account. So, but I'm still up overall. So I appreciate all your comments. I'll be back again same time tomorrow. So not a bad start. That one, slightly riskier trade. I thought it was triple test. That was going to come down, but But there you go. So I appreciate all your comments. I'll be back here same time tomorrow. So have a great evening. Stay safe. Bye for now.